Is there any ideology that you inherited from Professor Ambrose Ali that has influenced your life? And if there is any, what is it?
I think maybe not an ideology, but perhaps a philosophy. Okay, the last thing my father ever said to me was this. He said, when I asked him, because this is something that you asked before about whether he enriched himself. When I was a young man, when you're a young man, you can be quite angry and bitter about things, and if you belong to a certain social class, you mix with people from that social class. And when I compared myself to my friends, my other Nigerian friends, and people in that social class, we were financially and materially not as well off as them by a long way. And I asked him when he got released in 1989. So this was in the summer of 1989, about July 1989. I said to him, Dad, why didn't you steal money? He said, Ayo, I could leave you as much money as whatever. But the only things I can give you that nobody can take from you and that are worth anything are a good name and a good education. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. And that's what he left us with. The things that we learned from my father are very, I wouldn't call them necessarily political. I mean, as a child, you learn about life from your father. So one of them is probity. I mean, I told you my brother works in finance. My brother has a reputation in finance in Nigeria and beyond for being an extremely honest person who uh, follows the process as laid down. And that is something our father taught us. My father, um, for instance, would never use his, but none of my father's brothers benefited when he was in a governor, because my father thought that two things. One, if you're my relative and I employ you, that means that you have to do better than everyone else. Not, I can't just employ you because you're my relative. You must actually prove that you're better than everyone else. And the second thing is that you know you have you know you have got to set an example as a person, as a leader. It's part of your responsibility to set an example. So and this is this is something that you can check. I mean, for instance, Sir Moses, I know that your dad worked in UBTH. When my dad was a senior consultant in UBTH, I told you my mother worked there as a midwife. My mother never got anywhere in her career. My dad never helped my mother to get anywhere in her career. When my mother applied for jobs, my dad didn't go and talk to people and say, "Oh, my wife is applying for this," at all. That was not how my dad was. My dad was an extremely honest person. In fact, honest to a fault. Till today, people will complain about my brother that why doesn't my brother uh, cut this person in for this deal or da 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 da. But that's not the way that we were. So that's how we were raised. We were raised by our dad to be honest people. We were also raised by our dad. I mean, it comes back to the other question that people ask. We were raised by our dad to be ourselves, not just his children. There are too many big men picking in Nigeria that they actually can't do anything. Yeah, our father raised us to be independent, to think for ourselves. I mean, I also remember another occasion when we were having some political debate. This was when he was still in detention, and I was 18 or something like that, and I come from the UK to see him, and me and him were sitting down. He was then in UCH. He was sick for a long. He was ill for some period of time when he was in detention before he was released. And we were having a debate. Some people came to see him, and they, you know, he said something, and I was reading a newspaper, and as we both small, I just said, Dad, that's rubbish. One of his people that came to see him said, how can you tell him, you this small boy, how can you tell Prof that His Excellency that he's talking rubbish? No, no. My father said to the guy, no, 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 please, don't ever tell my son to shut up and he's a small boy. He might be a young man, but I didn't send him to get educated so people can dismiss him and his opinions by calling him a small boy. Listen to what he has to say. And he did. So that was my dad. My dad did not believe that because you were younger than someone, that your opinion meant nothing. My dad also believed in, like, a fundamental education. I mean, you know, he believed that education should not just be free but mandatory. Everyone should go to school. You must go to school. When we were kids, we had to go to school. Not only did we have to go to school, we also had to perform well in school. When we were young, like most fathers, he would tell us, when I was in class, I used to come first all the time. We didn't believe him. And we asked him one day, and he showed us his report card from school. And true, he came first all the time, top of the class consistently. So he believed in hard work. He believed in achievement through your own hard work and your own self-discipline. He was a compassionate man. He believed in compassion. My dad was a Christian, but he was a Christian in the sense that Jesus Christ himself taught in the Bible. So the Sermon on the Mount: love thy neighbor as thyself, forgive other people, and those sorts of things. My dad, was a man of science as well. I mean, in Nigeria we have, so much, so he didn't believe in juju, witchcraft, and all that, all those superstitious nonsense that we believe in Nigeria. Not saying he didn't believe in tradition. Tradition is one thing. The supernatural is something else. Because not everything has a supernatural explanation or a supernatural cause. So there are many things that we learned, but political ideology is the wrong way to put it. What we did, he was our father. We learned lessons about life from him, like everyone learns from their father.